Welcome in, my fellow fitness enthusiasts, to today's instructional video coming at you from Revision Training LLC. Today we are talking about an exercise that should be part of yours and everybody else's routine. We're of course talking about the infamous push-up. Now, if you're clicking on this video, you're already thinking, maybe I can do this. Hopefully I caught you. If you are somebody who's like, I've never done a push-up in my life, can't do them, stick with me today, because I'm not only going to show you some modifications that should make push-ups doable for anyone, no matter what your fitness level, but I'm also going to talk to you about some of the right techniques that should be true across the board for any version of a push-up you're going to do. We're going to go through a lot of the benefits of them, so I want you to stick with me even if push-ups aren't your thing. If they are, stay with me as well, because at the end of this video I'm going to show you a couple of cool versions of push-ups that you can work on. So, my name is Tyler Marin. I am owner of Revision Training LLC, where our mission is to bring fitness to you in an accessible format. So whether you're sighted or visually impaired, doesn't matter, we're bringing fitness to you guys. I want to make sure that everybody has the opportunity. I'm a 3-time Paralympic athlete, motivational speaker, and personal trainer. So definitely a passion of mine to make sure that each and every one of you has the same opportunities that I was given. So let's go ahead and talk about it. We have 4 things that we're going to go through. We're going to first talk about the benefits of push-ups. We're second going to talk about some of the common factors that thread through every single type of push-up. Maybe a couple exceptions here and there, but generally speaking, every push-up you do, there's a few basic things you want to keep in mind. We'll talk about modifying an exercise down, okay? Modifying the push-ups so you make them a little bit easier, and then modifying up to make them a little bit more challenging, okay? So that's the first thing that I want to mention in this video. Understand, coming from me, and I don't allow anybody around me to do this either, but there's no such thing as a push-up that is tied to a specific gender. Okay, so when we talk about modifying exercises, there's no such thing as a girl push-up, right? It's a modified exercise because exercise is all about modification. You're changing the exercise to fit your capacity, to fit your fitness level, right? So number 1, let's clear the air, make sure we understand that. There's no such thing as a girl push-up. There's only push-ups for your level. All right, let's talk about the benefits real quick. Now, push-ups are very good for your overall physique. A lot of people dislike them because they are very challenging for your body, and a lot of people have not been taught how to do them correctly, or again, how to modify them correctly. But generally speaking, when you're doing a good push-up, you're not only going to activate the muscles in your chest, your shoulders, your triceps, you're going to strengthen a lot of the upper body muscles, the majority of the muscles in the upper body, but you're also engaging all of the muscles in your core, your rectus abdominis, internal, external obliques, your deeper transverse abdominals. You're exercising the muscles in your hip flexors and your thighs. As your body extends out and turns into a strong board and in a tight plank, all those muscles synergize together. You're getting a lot of really, really good benefits from doing a push-up, okay? Working just about every muscle group in the body. So with that, I want you guys to, again, think, no matter what level you're at, push-ups are something that you can mix in, and we're going to talk about that, okay? So next, let's talk about some basic threads that run through every type of push-up that you're going to find. After this, I'll show you some of the modifications, so stick with me and try to pay attention to the different techniques that I'm explaining to you, because they're going to apply to whatever version you choose. First of all, let's talk about hand and upper body position, then we'll kind of move down to the hips and the legs. So one of the things to keep in mind when we're doing a push-up is your hand position will change how it's affecting your muscles. So there are push-ups where your hands are very wide. There are push-ups where your hands are very close together. But generally speaking, the way that you place your hands vertically, okay, whether it's up closer to your face or down towards your belly, that will make a really big difference in whether you're doing the push-up wrong or right, not just the version that you're doing. So let me explain that to you. Come on down to the floor if you're watching this video and you want to give this a shot. Otherwise, check it out first, then try the push-ups after, that's fine. So when I get into my hand position for the push-ups, right now I'm just in the quadruped position, so I'm on my hands and knees. My palms are flat on the floor. My fingertips are pointed towards 12 o'clock, my toes back behind me towards 6 o'clock, and my knees are directly under my hips. I've also got a very flat back, right? So I'm not pushing my back up towards the ceiling or pushing my belly too far towards the floor. My spine is very neutral. I'm tabletop right now. So my hands, in the way that you should do push-ups, you don't want your hands up here underneath where your face is, under your head. Because with your hands up here, you're gonna put a lot of tension in your shoulders. This is a big mistake that a lot of people make starting up. Bring your hands back just a little bit and make sure they're right underneath your chest. And the width of your hands, if you're just doing a standard push-up, that's where we're gonna start, the width of your hands is just gonna be a little bit wider than your rib cage, okay? So we're not trying to put our hands real close together, your fingertips touching. Widen your hands just a little bit so they're about as wide as your ribs, or maybe even just a touch wider, okay? So you want a good stance, you want a good base. Now, when we go into that push-up position, let's go ahead and talk about our hip position as we get into that starting movement. Your hips right now in the quadruped position are about as high as their shoulders, okay? So you can see that my hips and shoulders are about level with each other. When I go into my push-up position, which means I'm gonna straighten my legs out, and now I'm up on my toes and my hands, okay, instead of my knees being on the floor. Now my legs are straight, I'm on my toes and my hands. My hips did not change positions, okay? So here I'm in my quadruped position, my hips are level with my shoulders, I extend my legs out, I come up on my toes, okay, so just my toes touching the floor. My hips are the same level. I didn't push my hips way up in the air, okay? I didn't lower my belly and my hips towards the floor. Hips here at the same level as your shoulders. Now imagine somebody set a glass of water on your back while you're on your hands and knees. You want to get into that push-up position without spilling the water, okay? So nothing moves, you just straighten your legs out. So that's your proper push-up position. Hands a little wider than your ribs, at chest level, straighten the legs out, hips stay level with your shoulders. One more thing to think about, my head position, okay? I don't like to look up during a push-up. Some people teach that in order to keep your back straight. I think it puts too much pressure in your neck. I'm not going for that. We want to keep our spine neutral and strong. So with our chest towards the ground, that means our nose should be pointed towards the ground. However, there's a difference between pushing our head towards the floor, okay, so my nose is pointed towards the floor and I'm kind of dropping my head down, and keeping my nose pointed towards the floor, but raising my head up, okay, pushing the back of my head towards the ceiling. It's called a retraction, okay? So I'm using the muscles in my neck and shoulders to keep my head lined up with my shoulders and not letting it drop down. Something to keep in mind, a lot of us, especially if you have low vision, a lot of us are kind of lean forward, looking at screens, getting really close. We've got that forward head lean, puts a lot of tension in your neck. So as we're doing push-ups, draw your head up, okay? So one more key aspect. We've got our starting position now. I keep saying one more. Now that we're in our starting position, here's how the movement is gonna go. Imagine that we're doing this push-up on a clock face, okay? So my head is pointed towards 12 o'clock, my feet towards 6, my left elbow towards 9, my right elbow towards 3. As you come down into this push-up, you're gonna bend your elbows, you're gonna lower your body all in one movement. Your chest, shoulders, hips, thighs, everything come towards the ground, and then you push back up. But here's the key. My elbows do not point straight out to the side to 9 o'clock and 3 o'clock, because that's gonna bring my elbows up to shoulder level, and it's gonna put a lot of tension in the shoulder, a lot of tension in the ligaments of your shoulder. That's not where we want it. We wanna keep the tension in your muscles. So as you come down, think about that clock position. Your chest is right over the center of the clock, and your left elbow is gonna point a little bit back towards 8 o'clock. Your right elbow is gonna point back a little bit towards 4 o'clock, okay? So your elbows are gonna flare back slightly as you come down, and then push back up together. Elbows point back slightly, and then you push back up. 8 o'clock and 4 o'clock, okay? That's a standard push-up movement. Now, as you come down into that push-up and come back up, keep your body in one solid piece. So your chest, shoulders, and hips in the upper position, my arms are straight, are all level. Now as I come down to the ground, they're still level. Hips, shoulders, chest together. Push up, they stay together. Come down, they stay together. So a common mistake that's made with this is you'll drop down and then people will push their shoulders up first and then lift their hips up afterwards. That's gonna happen especially when you get tired. Try to avoid that, try to fight that. Try to push your hips up with your shoulders, keep them level. So a way that you can help monitor this, if you're at home, you're just in your living room, you can actually take like a common pillow that you have on your bed, put it on the floor right underneath your belly and chest, so that as you come down, your chest and your belly should touch that pillow at the same time, and then as you push up, they should leave at the same time. Okay, so if you come down and then you push up with just your shoulders and your belly's still on that pillow and then you lift your hips up, then you know you're missing that movement. We gotta have it all together in one piece, right? That is a standard push-up. So the things that you wanna keep in mind as you're doing this movement: strong, straight spine, okay? We're not arching your back, you're not pushing your back up towards the ceiling, your hips level with your shoulders, your eyes and nose pointed towards the floor, but retracted up, pushing the back of your head towards the ceiling, and then coming down in one piece, pushing back up in one piece. Standard push-up movement, okay? So those are some of the common things that you're gonna find almost in every push-up. Now, there's some variations in your hand position and elbow position that we'll talk about, but generally speaking, we talk about your hip level, your spine, all of that positioning should stay pretty standard through almost any movement you do, okay? Now let's talk about modifying down a little bit. Push-ups are hard, okay? They challenge a lot of muscles in the body. That's okay. You may be thinking, I'm not built for push-ups, but stick with me for a second. Let me show you a couple of modifications to make the exercise slightly easier to fit your level. Now, first thing that we can do, the most simple movement, is instead of coming up on your hands and toes, we're gonna drop the knees down to the floor, okay? Now this is different from the quadruped position, so let me explain this. In my quadruped position, okay, I'm on my hands and knees. My hands are just outside of my ribs, at chest level. My head's retracted, my nose pointed towards the floor. My knees are right under my hips right now. So I'm not in a push-up position, I'm in a quadruped position. The tops of my feet on the floor, to get into that short push-up or modified push-up, I'm gonna slide my feet and knees back about 6 inches towards 6 o'clock. So I'm not pushing my hips back. You gotta keep your hips forward so that your shoulders and your chest stay over your hands. So now there's a straight line from my shoulders through my hips to my knees, okay? I'm gonna go through that one more time. So quadruped position, my knees are right underneath my hips. Push-up position, I slide my feet and my knees back about 6 inches and keep my hips forward. I'm not dropping my hips towards the floor, I'm just keeping them forward in that position so that now my abs are engaged, and now as I lower down, I lower my hips, belly, chest down to the floor and push back up together. Don't push back up and bring your hips all the way up over your knees. Keep your hips forward, okay? Come down and push up. Hips, belly, and shoulders all moving together. Same elbow movement where I come down and I push up. My elbows point back towards 8 and 4 o'clock. And I get a little bit of a shorter movement that way, a little bit easier on the muscles in the upper body, a little easier on the muscles in the core. Great modification. Now even that, if that's a little tough, if you're somebody who has a hard time getting on the floor, here's something we're gonna take a look at. So the idea with a push-up is that gravity is able to grab a hold of you and pull on your body to try to drag you down towards the floor. So the flatter you are, the closer to the ground you are, the more difficult the push-up is gonna be. So here's what I wanna take a look at. I wanna have you guys set up so that your hands are on a raised surface. Now, the surface you choose to use depends on what you have around your house, right? A very good one to use is a kitchen counter. Okay, kitchen counter is gonna be very, very sturdy. You're not worried about it shifting. It's usually about waist level or maybe high as your belly, something like that. Doing push-ups on a kitchen counter is perfect for a lot of people. The back of a sofa couch, okay? You can do push-ups on the back of a couch. On a stairwell, so doing push-ups on stairs. You can do push-ups against the wall even. Wall is gonna be much, much easier. It's gonna be very tall, but there's gonna be a little bit of a shorter movement because your noggin's gonna get in the way as you get closer to the wall. So just be mindful of that. I have here a jumping box, okay? So this highest side of the box is about mid-thigh level for me. So let me show you how to do a push-up on a raised surface. Again, this is a modification down. So my hands are up on the box. This is gonna be a little bit easier than a regular push-up. Again, I've got my hands about as wide as my chest, okay? I'm gonna step my feet back slightly from where my hands are, okay? So I'm not standing super close. This is gonna take a little bit of an adjustment. So let me show you how this works. You're coming down into the push-up. Again, your elbows flare back slightly, and then you're gonna push away. I'm up on my toes. My back is straight. My belly is pulled in tight. I've got my nose pointed kind of down in front of me. I'm not looking straight down to my feet. I'm looking ahead of me, but down towards the floor. So that's gonna line my head up with my spine, and I'm retracting my head back. Now here's the trick of this. When you find a raised surface, okay, sometimes you're gonna start off with your feet a little too close, and then as you come into that push-up, the edge that your hand is on is gonna come towards your belly. That's gonna be really difficult. We're not looking for that. And other times, people are gonna step way back, and then as they come into that push-up, that edge is coming towards their chin or their neck. Your feet are too far back. You wanna find that middle zone. Okay, we're up on our toes. Find that middle zone where as you come down into that push-up, the edge of whatever you have your hands on is coming right to your chest. That's where the tension needs to be. So adjust your feet forward or back into that push-up until you find that right zone where the edge of the surface is coming directly at your chest. Okay? Another good modification, dropping it down. So those are some different ways that you can mix in push-ups when push-ups maybe just aren't really your thing. And that's okay. These are gonna help you a lot. Even my clients who are elderly, maybe some of my lady clients who just didn't have a lot of upper body strength, I would have them work on these types of push-ups because they helped a lot. Just find the level that makes sense for you. Start developing the strength in your upper body, your shoulders, your chest, because it's gonna help protect your joints a lot. Okay, last section here. Let's talk about if you are a push-up person, you're pretty good at them, you like a little bit of a challenge. Of course, we have our standard push-up position. Let me show you a couple of versions that can change the game a little bit, make it a little tougher for you. First, going into our standard position, instead of pointing your elbows to 8 and 4 o'clock, we can draw your elbows in, draw the hands in just slightly, and do a military push-up or a tricep push-up. It's gonna focus on the back of the arms and the front of the shoulders. So I'm down in my push-up position. Instead of being out a little bit wider, I'm gonna draw my hands in so they're a little bit more right underneath my chest instead of on the outside of my chest. And as I come down, my elbows are gonna brush by my ribs, point back towards my feet, and then I push back up. This is a tricep push-up, and this type of push-up, again, is gonna challenge your triceps, the back of your arms. Now that, drawing your hands in even closer, we can go into a diamond push-up. Very, very challenging, more advanced. Putting your pointer finger and your thumbs together, the tips of your fingers together, making like a diamond shape with your hands, putting it directly under the middle of your chest. As you come down, your elbows will again flare out towards 8 and 4 o'clock. So doing a diamond push-up, this is a very challenging push-up. Right, so a lot of people won't have the strength in their shoulders and triceps to do that type of movement. Definitely something you can challenge yourself with. Changing your foot position, just like raising your hands up will make the exercise a little bit easier. Raising your feet up can make the exercise a little bit more challenging. So I'm gonna take our box here, I'm gonna turn it on its edge so it's a little bit lower. Now it's at knee level for me. We put our feet up on the box, hands outside of the shoulders, belly pulled in tight, elbows flare back as they come down and push up. So raised feet push-ups. Lots and lots of options for you. There's so many variations. There are just hundreds and hundreds of different ways to do push-ups. There are atomic push-ups, dive bomber push-ups. So many of them that we'll get to in our project, making sure that you guys have all the information that you need to be strong. So I hope this instructional video helped you out. I hope it gave you some ideas. Please comment on the video, like it, share it, give it a thumbs up. Let me know if you have some questions. I'm all about giving the information to you guys that you need, okay? If you have some thoughts, I'm happy to catch them. So thank you guys again for joining me on this one. And from Revision Training, let's change the way we look at it. Make it a strong day.